Hello you clockpoles, today I'm going to be reviewing The Darkest Hour, one of my favourite episodes of Merlin. But before we get into that, check out my Discord in the description and make sure you're subscribed if you love the Merlin videos. So without further ado, let's review The Darkest Hour Part 1. I hope you enjoy. The episode begins with a cloaked woman pulling a mysterious cart to the Isle of the Blessed. Sir Leon just so happens to be at the wrong place, at the wrong time, 3 times in the past 2 episodes, as it's revealed to be Lady Morgana. Morgana fucks them up and returns to the cart. Morgause is still alive. What a fantastic start. I'm already hooked into the episode, as we know these two cannot be up to any good. The audience is forced to ask the question, why did Morgana spare Sir Leon and the knights? Well, it's because Morgana knows that the mighty Durocker will finish off the job, but I'll get to that later. Moving on, we are now in Camelot. It's a really refreshing opening as we follow Merlin around with joyous music in the background. Since this is a new season, we are just getting reintroduced to Camelot. It's a great fun scene. I mean, what the hell are these guys doing? Anyway, Sir Leon rides back and informs Arthur of where Morgana is heading. It is here we get introduced to the most obvious imposter of all time, Agravain.
So it was you. You abducted him. What?
No, you sussy bata.
I do honestly love him though. I think he's a great slimy villain. It cuts back to Morgana. She stabs Morgause, opening a veil to horror. It's an excellent scene with Merlin feeling the disturbance Morgana has caused. The directing and acting lead to a fantastic chilling atmosphere. The veil has been torn and the Durocker will bring destruction. The invincible foes are definitely the biggest threat Merlin and Camelot will ever face. It cuts to Arthur, who has been approached by a villager. Her village has been slaughtered by something described as faceless shapes who move extremely fast. Arthur comforts the girl and steps up to the challenge. This mysterious, intriguing threat is introduced brilliantly. Following this, the Knights of Camelot ride to the village to investigate.
Maybe it says something.
Yes, that you're a clock hole.
That's my word.
Yeah, and it suits you perfectly.
They discover a village, but it's quiet. Too quiet. They find frozen corpses littered in the streets and hear faint horrifying screams. And this is a kids show? It's incredible to me that Merlin can go from this to this so naturally. You really can't find this range in any other show, and it's part of what makes Merlin so special. And guess what? Merlin's powers are now lost, which makes the threat even more dangerous. Suddenly, Merlin gets attacked, but thankfully Lancelot is there to scare off the Durocker. It seems that fire is the best way to repel the Durocker, but it unfortunately will not kill them. So that's good news, right? Well, now for some bad news. Camelot is in trouble with the Durocker attacking. We finally see what they look like, and oh boy, it doesn't disappoint. They are as scary as they're built up to be. They're ghostly skulls that have an unsettling screams worthy of scaring any man who dares to watch this episode. Or maybe I'm just a pussy. Bodies start to pile up in Camelot, and Merlin is just as scared as us, as he does not know what to do. It's great to see Merlin so powerless. It makes the stakes so much higher as we know defeating these monsters will not be easy. Gaius confirms this when he tells Arthur he needs to go to the Isle of the Blessed and make a blood sacrifice. Arthur volunteers to die. His development from a bully to a hero is nothing short of incredible. He also tells Arthur that no mortals can survive their touch, so I don't know why Arthur's monkey brain couldn't put 2 and 2 together when this happens. I'm sorry, that was rude. I'm just mad we didn't get more of the brilliant dialogue we get in Diamond of the Day. Merlin's magic should have been revealed here and now. It would have been the perfect opportunity. Anyway, before this, we get a seemingly funny scene when Merlin drops a candle.
Do you want me to get one of the maids to do it for you? It's not a joke.
They go from joking around to admitting they're scared. Arthur admits he's even more scared than Merlin. The kingdom is now on its knees, with hundreds of people arriving at Camelot for protection, but Agravain wants to keep them out. Oh, and he's also working with Morgana. It's not looking good. But that's not all. Arthur does something that is very frustrating to watch. He gives the royal seal to Agravain. Goddamn Agravain, are you serious? Next, Merlin tells Gaius that he will take Arthur's place and sacrifice himself. The soundtrack is amazing here, as it's both beautiful and sad. It's such a sad but phenomenal scene that will have many people in tears as they hug each other. I'm not crying, you are. We get another goodbye with Lancelot and Gwen. Gwen requests that Lancelot looks after Arthur, which is again very sad. But enough sadness, it's time for the Knights and Merlin to travel to the Isle of the Blessed. On the way, Lancelot and Merlin have a discussion. He wants Merlin to leave since he has no powers. Of course Merlin refuses, showing how brave he is. But Lancelot is right. He says Merlin is no warrior and him being out here is very risky. But it's a risk that Merlin will take for Arthur and the kingdom. Nighttime arrives, so the knights take refuge in an abandoned castle. In real life it's called Raglan Castle, and I went there when I was younger. I also went to the maze featured in the Unicorn episode. Anyway, the camping scene is really cool and scary, but my favourite part is when Merlin lights a fire and shares a look with Lancelot. I love the dynamic between these two. I'm sure nothing bad will happen and Lancelot is totally not travelling to his doom. Eventually they run out of firewood, so Merlin and Arthur go to collect some more. They get attacked, but Arthur quickly saves Merlin. They hide and listen to the screeches of the Durocker. Let me take you back to when Merlin and Arthur discuss their fear. Well, they are now sat down in a cold, ruined castle with little hope of survival. Arthur accepts that it might be over for him, but Merlin does the opposite. He tells Arthur there's no reason to worry and they will defeat the Durocker. Suddenly, a screech gets louder and louder as it charges straight into Merlin. Merlin gets lifted up and slammed against the wall in the most brutal way. The visual effects are amazing here, and the fact that Merlin was brave enough to take a stand is just the extra push Arthur needs to save the kingdom. Merlin is a true friend, but he falls, frozen and lifeless. Here's a less serious version of what I described. Now that's one hell of a way to end the Darkest Hour Part 1. Make sure you're subscribed to see my review of Part 2 coming soon, and more movie reviews. What a great episode. It's an easy 10 out of 10. This episode is scary, beautiful, well acted and simply brilliant. It's mainly setup, but this is as good as setup gets. It's entertaining throughout and one of my favourite episodes of the entire show. Thank you all so much for watching. Goodbye.